Okay, we will start. Next topic is I just want to tell you what is this meaning convention. What does this mean? This is not actually part of constitution. Actually, there is no constitutional recognition, but something which is generally followed. Okay, so this is what you mean by convention. Some practices which you generally follow, like if speaker is from the ruling party, the deputy speaker should be from the opposition party, like that. These are something which is generally followed, and this is what you call as convention. So there is no constitutional interpretation or anything is required when it comes to convention. These are something which is generally followed over a period of time. Now, why it is done, why this convention, or what is the use of this, or what is the purpose of this, or how is it actually going to help in the governance? This is actually something which make things easier. So it's a kind of lubricating the administrative functionary so that things will go in a smoother way. There is no complex constitutional interpretation required when it comes to conventions. But again, one thing that you need to understand here is this can be, or this can be legally imposed. This is something which is legally binding. Okay, but not that constitutional complexity is not there, because this is not part of constitution. Just write one line over there. They are unwritten rules that are not in constitution. So unwritten rules practiced in general, followed over a period of time, not in constitution. Okay, conventions are regarded as legally binding on all organs of the government. Okay, that means no organ of the government will deny following the convention. So you can write, if you want, that example which I have told you, like if speaker is from the ruling party, the deputy speaker should be from the opposition party, like that. Similarly, president gives his assent to the money bill. Okay, that is also like a convention. Right example, president giving assent to the money bill, because anyway it is introduced in parliament with the consent of the president. So before the introduction itself, we are getting the consent. So there is no point in not giving his assent to the money bill. So that is actually convention. Giving assent to the money bill, you can write as an example of convention. Speaker, deputy speaker, you can write as a convention. 3 sessions of parliament, you can write as a convention. Normally 3 sessions. Generally, there will be 3 sessions for the parliament. That also you can write as an example. Okay. What about caretaker government? Okay, what do you mean by caretaker government? Okay, you can write this also as an example of convention. Caretaker government is also as an example of convention. Okay, so this is not part of constitution, but something which is generally followed in a crisis situation or in that gap. So what is caretaker government? When there is a gap, this government will comes into existence. The gap means either when the PM dies, right, or the Lok Sabha stands dissolved. So during that time, to undertake the day-to-day administrative function, you need a caretaker government. Okay, now which article of the constitution validates this caretaker government or mandates this caretaker government? Directly, caretaker government is not there in the constitution, but it takes its origin from one article, the article 74. What is article 74? There shall be a council of ministers to aid and advise the president. Okay, so the president can work in accordance with the aid and advice given by the council of ministers. So all the executive functions which will be done or undertaken on behalf of president, in the name of president. So for any executive action, for any administrative action, or even for any legislative action, there shall be a council of minister. So even when the Lok Sabha stands dissolved, the present council of minister dissolved, or the PM dies, in that situation, there has to be a caretaker government. The main objective was basically to go with the day-to-day administrative functions. Can the caretaker government take important policy decisions? No. It is, again, I've told you, as part of convention. So they don't enjoy that majority support, right? If somebody is enjoying the majority support, they can directly come into power and they can have the normal government. So caretaker government is something which does not have that majority support. So it cannot take any important decisions, like any important financial decisions, or it cannot actually sign any treaty with the foreign countries as well. Okay. With any other foreign state, you cannot sign any treaty also. So I hope you understood what is caretaker government. If you want, you can just write one line, but understand there is a situation from Article 74. It derives its existence because there has to be a council of ministers. So this is something which is very necessary for the administrative functions every day, day-to-day administrative functions. So the role of caretaker government is basically to take care of the day-to-day administrative functions. Okay, can it take important decisions? It is not that rigid, guys, again, but there are some restrictions. You cannot take important decisions, you cannot pass the important financial decisions like that. But if it is required upon the national interest, there can be possibility that the caretaker government can take important decisions as well. Can it wage a war also? Yes, if the situation demand upon the national interest, upon the interest of the larger public, caretaker government also can take important decision, even to engage in a or to declare a war as well. Okay, so convention, I hope that is clear. Okay, caretaker government, you can write in convention also. Like these are questions which are asked also. Okay, one more convention you write, COM shall resign on having lost majority in Lok Sabha. Similarly, speaker, deputy speaker, that you have written. Okay, like attorney general will resign along with the government. Okay, with the fall of the government, attorney general will resign. That is also part of convention. There is no obligation, there is no compulsion. But what is the role of attorney general? Basically, to advise the government. So once the government loses its majority, or the council of ministers is not in power, if they are not in the majority, then obviously the new government comes. If the government decides, then the government can appoint and continue with the attorney general. But normally it is not done, right? The previous government is appointing one attorney general, the other government, instead of removing, he will resign automatically with the fall of the government. So these are convention. Now, right, what is caretaker government? As I've discussed with you, okay, it comes into existence when popularly chosen council of ministers loses confidence in Lok Sabha. Okay, so that is the main case when the popularly chosen council of ministers loses its majority or its support in Lok Sabha. Okay, or you can write when PM dies, or when Lok Sabha stands dissolved, caretaker government is required. It is a government in interregnum. Government in interregnum. Interregnum means like that period, that gap has to be filled, right? Even before also we have discussed about this interregnum. So that during that gap, that means by the time next government will come into existence, this will continue. Yeah, to avoid that discontinuity. So it will last till when? It will last till the next government come into existence, or till the next government forms. So you can write in this way, it lasts till the time next government is formed. One more line that is very important. It comes into existence because of Article 74 of the Constitution. So this is very important. This, again, they can ask you direct prelims question with respect to this. What is the constitutional provision connected to caretaker government? Most of the students may have this confusion because caretaker government is not part of Constitution, but it derives its existence, or it comes into existence because of Article 74, which read like that, what I've told you. There shall be a council of ministers to aid and advise the president. So there has to be a council of ministers for sure at any point of time. Okay, so that is the reason why it will be there. Yeah, that time biggest party. One more line you can write, Constitution is silent on caretaker government, and the rules and functions are governed by conventions. That is what I have told you. There is no, constitutional specification or validity or instructions or guidelines or anything on the way the caretaker government will act. But in other cases, it is there. So everything which is done by caretaker government, if at all, when it comes into existence, it should be based on the, convention, something which is generally followed. That is why I've told you it cannot take important decisions. It cannot pass some any treaty with the foreign states. It cannot sign any important agreement with any other country, like that. Okay, just write that. Cannot take important decisions. Why? Simple logic, it will not enjoy the majority. Okay, so obviously, even if it takes the decision, it will stand defeated anyway, but it will not take. It is as per convention. Cannot enter into a treaty with foreign state. Okay. Also, no important financial decisions. Okay, guys, it is, again, this point has to be very clear. It is not that very rigid. It is like a restrictive mode, again, as per conventions, right? So not rigid. Why? Because if some important decision has to be taken at all at some point of time when there is national crisis for the larger interest of the nation, then it should be able to take that decision. So that flexibility is there. Okay, like I've told you the example. If there is a situation or the situation demands the war, even the caretaker government can also declare the war. What is the difference between caretaker government and interim government? When we had this interim government, it is actually a transitional phase. When we discuss about interim government, it is actually a transitional phase, right? So British time, right? So no, British time, then we have to make the constitution. So basically the role of this interim government is to make the constitution, and then the constitution will decide what kind of governance and what kind of rules and setup will come into existence and come into practice. Okay, so interim government is that government which comes into existence during the transitional phase. So just write one line: formed during a transitional phase of history of the country. Is it a full-fledged government or a temporary setup? It is actually a full-fledged government at that point of time, right? The interim government, you might have studied that part of modern India also, right? So interim government is just like normal full-fledged government. Okay, so till the time that constitution comes into existence, till the time the newly formed constitution comes, or the main objective of interim government is basically, constitution. Okay, so just write, it's a full-fledged government which lasts till a permanent arrangement is made via enactment of new constitution, which will guide the nation as how to continue with the popularly elected government, or how to install or how to instill the popularly elected government. Okay, now 2 years back they have asked about cabinet. I think twice they have asked about cabinet. What about this shadow cabinet? Like what I've discussed about cabinet is, again, there will be PM and there will be some important senior ministers, right? So that is cabinet, and the cabinet minister, then ministers of state, and then deputy ministers. So yeah, shadow cabinet only in Britain. I'll come to that. Now here, what is this concept of shadow cabinet? The idea of shadow cabinet is like this. So here there is a PM. So from the opposition side, this is the council of ministers, the government, the party who formed the government. Okay, this is the opposition. So here the leader will be like, this PM. So this is a PM. The shadow of PM is the leader of opposition. Like if you see in India, it can be Sonia Gandhi. Okay, so like shadow PM. If you see, this is cabinet. This is cabinet. This is cabinet. This is shadow cabinet. Okay, so who's this? This is shadow PM. Okay, like these ministers, similarly, like maybe finance minister. So here also there will be a shadow finance minister. Okay, so somebody who's having great experience from the opposition side, he will be, or the potential, if this party comes into power, maybe next election, who's going to be the finance minister? He will be the shadow finance minister. Similarly, there is a home minister. So here also there will be a home minister. Similarly, here also defense minister. So from here also defense minister. Okay, like that. Parallel to this, there will be a cabinet here. So here cabinet with the important portfolios, important senior most ministers. Here also there will be opposite. So these guys will be expert in that area. Okay, like or if not experts at this point of time, imagine they're going to come into power in the next election. So by the time they come into power, they will get that experience and they will get that first-hand experience. Okay. Now here, if somebody, there's some new policies are coming. So new policies are introduced, which is connected to this ministry X. So this guy from shadow cabinet connected to that ministry, that shadow minister will talk regarding that. Okay, so this is what you mean by shadow cabinet, exact shadow or replica or the duplicate of the cabinet. Okay, so what is the role? Again, you can say constructive criticism or for more focus. Okay, and providing the organized skepticism or criticism. These are the main role. Secondly, this will give these people the adequate experience in the governance also, because next time when they comes into power, they're already familiar with all these things. Okay, so now the problem with these ministers are they have lack of knowledge. Even they don't know, even if you talk about GST, they don't know, right? Most of the ministers. So that problem can be solved. And there will be expert from this side also who might have studied things in a much better way. Okay, so and because of this shadow cabinet, they will also function in a much better way. So that is the role, and that is what you mean by shadow cabinet. Now, is it possible in India? Where is it there? It is possible. It is there in Britain, because two important parties are there. Then it is possible. But is it possible in India? No, it is not possible. Why? There are multiple political parties are there. So if you need to form a shadow cabinet, then this political party will form a shadow cabinet. Then another political party will form another shadow cabinet. Another political party will form another shadow cabinet. So the problem in this context is this original cabinet have taken a decision. These people may criticize it, but this cabinet may support it. They may criticize it. Another one will criticize it. So that entire purpose is not actually served, just because in India there is a multi-party system. So in case if you get a question related to shadow cabinet, whether it is in prelims or is it in mains, or in case if you need to incorporate this one in your answer somewhere, you need to have this knowledge so that things can be done easily. Okay, so I hope you understood. Shadow cabinet means exact replica of the cabinet. So there will be like here PM, shadow PM, finance minister opposite to here also. Like, what is the job of this shadow PM or shadow finance minister? He will closely follow what this guy will do. Okay, and mainly constructive criticism. And guys, once you talk about this word constructive criticism, this is going to support and this is going to enhance the policies and programs that this cabinet is actually coming up with, and it is in a positive way. Secondly, these guys will also get that required experience, so they will know things, and definitely there will be a continuity, right? So something which is done here and there will be a continuation, and that is good in the larger interest of the public as well as for the nation. So that's about shadow cabinet. Just write one line about shadow cabinet. It is a national cabinet formed by main opposition party in a parliamentary form of government. Okay, so you can show this in a diagram so that you don't want to write too much. Like, there will be a PM, there will be a shadow PM. Again, those important ministers, there will be a shadow ministers also. And the main objective or the role of this shadow ministers is to follow these guys. Okay. And the main advantage is to ensure accountability on the Council of Ministers. Just write that, ensure accountability. It is absent in India because of too many political parties. It is absent in India because of too many political parties. Okay, it is there in Britain, but it is absent in India. Okay. Now, next is, what is minority government? Minority government. Guys, what do you mean by minority? Those who are not majority, that is what minority. So here, what is minority government? When we talk about minority government, those who doesn't enjoy majority, they are the minority government. That means that single political party, they are not enjoying that majority. So they are forming the government with the support of some other party. That means there is a coalition government. There is a coalition government. Okay, that is what minority government. So minority government, in other ways, you can say it is a coalition government. Somebody who's not enjoying the majority is what? Minority government. So they form the government with the support of some other political party. That is what? Coalition government. Okay. Now, is this coalition government is good or bad in India? In certain extent. Now, the point is, coalition government is good to some extent. It is bad also. Why bad? Because of policy paralysis and all these issues, and you need to satisfy every coalition parties. That is a big problem, right? Like Mamata Banerjee, when they are in coalition with the center, that point of time, very much bargaining, huge bargaining. Like when Jayalalitha was there from Tamil Nadu, when supporting UPA, then again bargaining is too much, right? So coalition government, one of the problem is too much of bargaining and too much of compromises, and the decision making, big problem. The government can't take decisions just like that easily. That is a problem with minority government or the coalition government. Policy paralysis is also one of the problem. Okay, what is the advantage of coalition government? Because from different parties there will be representation. Okay, so India is a diverse country, so different sections will be represented adequately, properly. That is one of the main advantage. Okay, just write one line. The minority government, under that you write, does not enjoy the majority in the parliament and form government due to the support of other political party, or they have to depend on other political parties to form the government. And the government such formed is known as coalition government. Okay, so that's about minority government. Now, national government. Okay, what is this national government? Is it a coalition government? National government? National government is also a coalition government. But here, when I talk about the coalition, all the parties are coming together and forming a government. Okay. And when it will happen? It will happen during some big crisis. Okay. So all the parties are like even Congress, BJP, AIDMK, BSP, all these parties, I imagine it is very much difficult, but they are coming together for a common reason. So there is a common enemy, like that big threat is coming. So there is a national crisis. During that time, national government may be formed. All the parties will come together, sing together, and they will form the government. Will there be any opposition here? There won't be any opposition during the time of national government. Okay, so just write. It is a coalition government of almost all political parties. So irrespective of the differences, they will come together. Okay, almost all the political parties. So there is no opposition party during this time. And it is formed during a period of great national crisis. Okay, now is it a full-fledged government? Yes, it is a full-fledged government, just like normal. Only during caretaker government, guys, I've told you it's not a full-fledged government and work on the basis of conventions. Right? Caretaker government is not a full-fledged government. It will continue till the time, it will last for the time till the new government comes into existence. But this is a full-fledged government. Okay. Now, yesterday we discussed about parliamentary system. Okay. And there we have discussed about two types, like prime ministerial form of government and cabinet form of government. So anyway, parliamentary system we have discussed, and we have discussed both these prime ministerial as well as cabinet form of government. You know the merits and demerits of this. In fact, you can talk about the parliamentary form of government. Now, what about parliamentary form of government versus presidential form of government. In case if you get a question, which one is better, which one we should continue, should we move from parliamentary form to presidential form? Because of, guys, I've already told you there are a lot of issues with respect to policy paralysis, implementation of decisions, decision making, legislations. Okay, then these many issues are there, right? Because of differences, many differences are there. So can we move to presidential form or not? If you get a question, then what should be your answer? Okay, before that, what is presidential form? Normally, when we discuss about parliamentary form, even though we have a PM, is he directly elected? He is not directly elected. He is indirectly elected, right? So, as an MP, he is elected directly, or he may be a Rajya Sabha MP also. But then, PM is actually indirectly elected. In India, when it comes to president is also indirectly elected. But in case of presidential system, the president is actually directly elected from the side of the people. So that can be written as an advantage, that may be a disadvantage also. Advantage in the sense that people have clear idea that this guy is going to be the president, and they are voting because they are clear about that. Okay, so directly elected. And what about ministers? Now here in the parliamentary system, from where the ministers are coming? Ministers are coming from the legislature. But what about in president? And it is again decided by the president, prime minister, and president will appoint. Here, is it from the legislature? There will be a total separation of power when it comes to presidential system. The ministers are chosen by the president in his choice. They are not coming from legislature. So here you will see executive and legislature are totally different, and complete separation of power is there. But in our context, if you see, executive is actually a baby of legislature. Executive is this, legislature is this. Okay, but here you will see complete separation of power. Like law making is done by some section, and executive, which is headed by the president and his council of ministers. Okay, and the ministers will be chosen by the president from those who he feel that good in that areas. So here the advantage is he will select the expert people who's having experience and expertise in that particular area, not necessarily from the legislature. Okay, so that is the that is what the president can do in this. Now here the disadvantages, even if the president want to pass some law, he can make a request to the legislature, and it is not necessary that the legislature will act in accordance with the president. They may not listen to the president as well. Okay, so but forget about that. That's not a big deal, because whatever is required for the country, that the legislature will do, you can take it in that way. But the role of president is basically to, only the executive actions, implementation. Executive function means what? It's about implementation. Legislative function is different. Okay, so legislative function will be done by another department, another organ. So there is a clear-cut separation of power. But here in the parliamentary system that we have discussed, no. Executive is from the legislature. The council of ministers is the main executive, headed by the prime minister, real executive. Okay, so it is from the legislature itself. That is the main difference. So here, whatever these people want to, they can make the same law. Guys, if prime minister want some legislation, he can get it done. Why? Because already he is a PM, because he enjoys the majority. Since he enjoys the majority, he is a PM. So whatever legislations, whatever law he want to make, he can do that with the help of the legislation, because he's enjoying the majority. But that's not the case with presidential system. Okay, even if the president want, not possible, because this is totally separated. Just write one line over there. President is not accountable to legislature. Okay, but these members, the ministers, are responsible to the president here. Like in this case, responsible to the council of legislature. In this case, the ministers are collectively responsible to the legislature in parliamentary system, right? Members are collectively, that is a collective responsibility we have discussed, and individually responsible to the president, but here not responsible to the legislature, but to the president. Right. President in the presidential system, just write one line. In the presidential system, the president is the real executive who is elected directly by the people for a fixed term. directly by the people for a fixed term. He is not responsible to legislature. Write it. Anyway, you have asked, just write that. He is not responsible to legislature. And chooses his members of the COM, Council of Ministers, and chooses the members of his Council of Ministers in his own choice. Or you can write not from the members of legislature. Not from the members of legislature, and are responsible to the president. Okay, what about parliamentary system? If you want to, you can write that. We have already written that yesterday. In parliamentary system, who's the executive head? It is the president who's the executive head, nominal. Real executive head is actually the prime minister, because president can take or do anything upon the advice of the PM. Okay, so if you wish to, you can write there, in the parliamentary system, president is the executive head, president or the monarch. Okay, if you see both, you can write as the executive head, but the real executive head is the Council of Ministers, headed by the PM. Okay, now which one is more suitable in India, parliamentary system or presidential system? You can say parliamentary system. In case if you get a question like this, see guys, there are a lot of issues with respect to parliamentary system, and main issue we discuss with respect to parliamentary system is the political instability, this defection, okay, and policy paralysis. All these are the main issues we discuss, or we mainly discuss about parliamentary system. But we can solve that, okay, by using innovative measures. I'll discuss that. I'll give you some suggestions. Okay, like instead of no confidence motion, we can have constructive motion of no confidence, like that we can discuss. I'll discuss that. But here, which one is better for India? In India, we can say parliamentary system is better. Why? Because we already had that experience, and there is no need to go with a lean system or a lean setup or something which we have not experienced. So during British time onwards, we had experience on this system, so we are following that. Secondly, in case of parliamentary system, it is better because it will reflect the diverse opinions. Even the ministers are formed from the elected members or from the legislature. So they represent the diverse sections of the population. India being diverse country, divided on many aspects: caste, language, religion, region. So it is better to reflect all the diverse population's view in the parliament, in the lawmaking, in the legislation, in the executive actions, everywhere. So parliamentary system is better. So the ministers will, convey the side of the population also, the public also. Okay, so that is good. Write that point. In India, parliamentary system is better because the diverse population is represented. Okay, or you can write in bracket, heterogeneous population is represented in the COM. So the COM itself will have, like, if you see the COM will have Hindu minister, right, Muslim minister, and then Christian minister. So they will take care of that. Again, from different regions also ministers are there, right? So they will also take care of the problems of different region, different religion, different caste. Okay, so they will, they will act as the voice of the diverse sections. So any policy making, if prime minister is saying something, that we will go with this particular decision. So one minister, if he is from southern part, and if the decision is against the south, he will definitely tell the PM that, PM, you cannot go with this because this is against the aspirations of the southern population, right? Or you cannot go with this because this is against of this particular religion, like that. So that will be possible in case of parliamentary system more. Okay, then you can say familiar past experience. Okay, now write the solution. when we discuss about parliamentary system, the problem is mainly with respect to political instability. Okay. But how can you solve this problem of political instability? It is not actually the political instability is the problem. It is a problem with not accommodating the views of diverse sections of population. That is actually the problem. And if you can accommodate that properly, and if you can satisfy different sections of population, then this will be the best way. And this is the best way in India, which is possible to accommodate the diverse view. Okay, so you can go with parliamentary system. Just write one more line also. Promoting a healthy coalition culture will also increase political stability. Healthy coalition culture will also improve the political stability. So the main criticism is with respect to political stability. So promoting a healthy coalition, you can say, and replacing tools like no confidence motion, with constructive motion of no confidence. Constructive motion of no confidence. So what is this constructive motion of no confidence? From where this concept have been taken? Germany. Okay, so it's actually a German concept. So what is this constructive motion of no confidence? In this, actually what will happen is there will be two motions which will be presented. One is like the no confidence motion, that is the lack of confidence in the present COM, which is headed by the Prime Minister. That is similar to the no confidence motion. So the first will be related to the lack of confidence in the present Council of Ministers. Second is confidence upon the opposition leader. Okay, so what will happen if both will be voted upon the same time, and if both will be passed? What is the advantage, or what is the interpretation if both is passed? First thing that we can understand is if one is passed, what does that mean? The existing Council of Ministers do not enjoy the support of the majority, right? So then that is gone. Secondly, if the second one is also passed, what does that mean? There is an opposition which enjoys the majority, right? Support of the majority. That means the advantage of this constructive motion of no confidence is when both are put on vote at the same time and both are passed at the same time, it not only throw out the government which does not have the support, but at the same time, it also help in forming the new government rather than going for election. Otherwise, what will happen? There is you need to go for election for the next government, right? So here that is not the case. You can automatically get the next government. Okay, just write one line. No, opposition does not pass means this will continue. Okay, write that one. It's a German concept in which the opposition introduce two motions simultaneously in the lower house of the parliament. Okay, so here guys, think logically. What is the role for this? The main objective of this is you pass this, you also pass the second one. So you will be throwing out this and you will be getting a new government at the same time. Now you pass this and you are not doing this means then this government will continue. Okay, so actually if this will continue means then there won't be like unnecessary movement of this no confidence motion. It will actually prevent the opposition party from voting out this no confidence motion and all. So that is the objective. Both has to be passed. Okay, right. The first motion expresses lack of confidence of the House. The first motion expresses lack of confidence of the House in the present COM. Second, expresses confidence of the House for the leader of opposition. So lack of confidence, the first one, confidence, the second one. Both are put to vote simultaneously. Okay, and if both are passed, it shows of it. What does that mean? You can write in your language now. If both are passed, it shows the lack of confidence on the first one and confidence on the second one. So automatically a new government is formed by throwing out the first. Write in your own way. So it is actually leading to electing the new PM. It will be automatically electing the new PM. That means the opposition leader without going for re-election. If you want to write the other one also, you write but or however, the first is passed, this one is passed, but this one is not passed. The second is defeated. Then COM continue. Then the COM continue because opposition, though proving lack of confidence, opposition, though proving lack of confidence on the present government, failed to provide an alternative government. Here, constructive motion of no confidence means you have to prove lack of confidence and also provide alternative government. Okay, so you are able to do this, but you are failed to provide an alternative government. So it prevents the opposition from voting of the COM irresponsibly. Voting of the COM irresponsibly. Okay, when we discussed about president, I missed one important area, that is the discretionary power of president. Just write a heading. We will write 2-3 discretionary power there. There can be a possibility you can expect a question from discretionary power also, at least in prelims. What are the discretionary power? Right, first one, Article 74 in original form. Article 74 in original form. You know that you can put a dash like there shall be a council of ministers to aid and advise, like that. Okay, but is that explicitly stating whether the president is bound by the advice or not? No, originally it is not there. Originally it says there shall be a council of ministers to aid and advise. Then which amendment made it mandatory? 42nd amendment. Now right, so you just write Article 74, that you can write over there. You know what is that. Now the problem originally with Article 74 is it is not telling whether it is compulsory or the president is bound to follow with that or not. 42nd amendment 1976, this Article 74 amended and made it like the president is obligated or compulsory to follow that, bound by the advice of COM. Then what happened in 44th Constitutional Amendment, 1978? What happened is, under this, president can ask for reconsideration. Okay, it is not bound by the president. Yes, it is bound by the president. Like, guys, understand this. Article 74, there is no clarity whether the president is bound by that advice given by the Council of Ministers. 42nd Amendment made it compulsory that the president is bound by the advice. 44th Amendment, still president is bound by the advice, but president can ask for reconsideration. However, after reconsideration, if it is coming back, then president is bound by the advice. So this reconsideration is one of his discretionary power. Okay, I hope this is clear. Second one. Second discretionary power, you're right, Article 78. Under Article 78, PM has the duty to inform the president. PM has the duty to inform the president about the affairs of administration and proposed legislation. So PM have to inform the president about the affairs of administration and proposed legislation. So what does that mean? The president have the right to be informed about the important affairs related to administration and legislation. That means here president have the right to be informed about the important affairs of administration and legislation. Automatically means president have the discretion to ask the PM about these affairs related to administration and legislations. Okay, so under Article 74 there is a discretion. 78 also. Now 85. What is 85? Related to, right, the House of Parliament shall be summoned in such a way that no more than 6 months gap between two sessions of the Parliament. So maximum gap will be 6 months. So normally president summoned the session on the advice of COM. Normally president summoned the session on the advice of COM. How many normally? Like when I discussed about the convention, I've told you how many normally. There are 3 general sessions, regular sessions normally, okay, in the form of 3 regular sessions. Okay, so this 3 regular sessions is summoned by the president on the advice of COM, which is headed by the Prime Minister. But if the COM is not advising the president or not telling the president to summon this, then the president have the discretion. Okay, right. However, if COM does not advise the president properly, if the COM does not advise the president on this, and 6 months have been passed between 2 sessions, because 6 months is the maximum. Normally there will be 3 sessions. That is based on the advice given by that will be summoned by the advice given by the COM. If COM is not giving any advice and 6 months have been passed, then it is a discretion of the president. Okay, then the president in his discretion can summon the House himself. Okay, now what is the most important one? Most important discretion of the president, or even when we discuss about governor also, this is the most important one. Yeah, when no political party enjoys a majority. Similarly, the coalition also not able to bring the majority. Then remember, no political party enjoys the majority to come to the power to make the government. Even the coalition also not able to make the majority or form the government. Then it is the total discretion of the president to call the leader of any political party to form the government. Okay, just write that. When no political party or coalition of political parties enjoy majority in Lok Sabha, then president in his discretion can invite the leader of any political party to form the new government. Okay, what next? Okay, now what about dissolving Lok Sabha? President, on the advice of Council of Ministers, have to dissolve Lok Sabha if the Council of Ministers give such advice, right? That is what something which the president have to do. But president will do it only if the Council of Ministers enjoy the majority. So they have that majority in the House, and they say dissolve the Lok Sabha, the president have to dissolve it. President is bound by that advice. But if this Council of Ministers do not enjoy the majority, president can use his discretion. Okay, no need to write that. President is bound to act according to the advice of COM. President is bound to act in accordance to the advice of COM in dissolving Lok Sabha. In dissolving Lok Sabha, only if the COM itself enjoy majority, or if the COM itself is in majority. Otherwise, the president can use his discretion. When I say discretion, means he can dissolve or not to dissolve. Both he can do. Okay, you can write like that. Otherwise, he can use his discretion for dissolving or not to dissolving Lok Sabha. Dissolve or not to dissolve Lok Sabha. He can even ask, like what I've told you before, to invite any other political party also to make the government or to form the government. What about veto power? Which two vetoes? Suspensive veto and pocket veto, right? These are again the discretion of the president. Yes, but when it comes to the suspensive veto, once it is sent back to the Council of Ministers or the legislature, then it is coming back to the president again, then there is no discretion over there. He have to sign or he have to give the assent to the bill. So just write pocket veto and suspensive veto used by him in his discretion. Like Abdul Kalam used, right, suspensive veto, then Gail Singh. Like there are enough examples. K.R. Narayan also used once. Okay, now one more, during the time of caretaker government, like I've told you, as per convention, normal administrative functions they will do and they will take care of it, the caretaker government. But I've told you, in case of necessity, they will take, they can act accordingly. But who will decide whether it is a necessity or not? It is a president who will decide whether it is a necessity or not. That also you write. In case of caretaker government, in case of caretaker government, you don't want to write it completely. Understand this. In case of caretaker government, normally day-to-day affairs is what they are meant to do. But in case of adversity, in case of necessity, they are allowed to take decisions and they are allowed to act in accordance with that. But who will decide that necessity? It is a president. So better to write in your language, whatever you understood. Okay. It is a president who decides which are the decisions of necessity. Right, like that. So during caretaker government, they are normally allowed to go with only day-to-day administrative decision, but the president who decides which decisions are like necessity. Okay, then one more under Article 78 Clause C. So what Article 78 Clause C says is, if a decision taken by individual minister, then president can refer this decision to the Council of Ministers to enforce the collective responsibility. Write that. President can refer the individual decision of a minister. President can refer the individual decision of a minister for collective consideration of the whole. For collective consideration of the whole. Collective consideration of the whole Council of Ministers for enforcing collective responsibility. For enforcing collective responsibility. Then the ordinance making power, executive powers, legislative powers, emergency powers, financial powers, everything we have covered. This is the one which I've missed out over there. So just go through this, what all things I've discussed here, and that's it for today. Tell me, Panikeshwar.
Choosing the CM is also the discretion of governor. Is that right?
Yes. in case if there is no majority, like exactly what I've told in this case, if there is no majority political party, if they are not having majority, if there is no coalition, then the governor can choose a CM.
Okay.